Hey everybody, welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place and welcome back to the vlog. And today we're going to talk about BMW reliability, but specifically I'm going to share with you some tips, some tricks on buying a brand new BMW to make sure you get a reliable car. As well, I'm also going to show you some examples of some bad versions and some other cars you might want to stay away from for the time being. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place, and today... So before I get to sharing some of the models with you that are problematic and other ones that might be a good buy, I'm going to share with you some basic fundamentals in buying a new BMW. Now, one of them, of course, is avoid the first change of that model year. If you've got the newest X5 coming out, for example, it's 2019, this car is just coming out. That is a risk. As well, the new 850i looks like a spectacular machine, and I'm not saying it will be a problem. However, that's a new model year car, and that has a higher risk of finding problems. Of course, any first generation of that model, no different than the 2006 M5 that came out. They progressively changed, made slight improvements along the way. But this also goes for reliability. So avoid the first year of any of these models. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you find out what's the general history of that model that you're looking at. What is the type of history? What has the reliability been to date? Like maybe this is a mid-run of a particular generation of a model. What is that model year? What has that model been like? Check, you can check the Lemonade guides, you can check the JD and Associates, you can check a lot of these online third-party groups that share with you a lot of the breakdowns and failures of some of these cars. You want to check all of those resources, online, publicized information. You want to check all of that out. Also, don't forget to check out channels like mine on YouTube. You're going to find a lot of information on stuff like that. But you need to follow up and find out where the problem areas are. As well, the big part, of course, the heart of every car is its engine. You want to make sure that engine is not a problem. So you do a search online for that type of engine, do some searches on forums, and you'll find lots of great information on that as well. That's another tip. And if you'd like some resources, make sure you check out my channel. There's a lot more information on specific BMWs that are bad and specific ones that are a lot more reliable. As well, there's a link in the bottom, down in the description section, that is a link to where you can find recalls and problem areas on any different type of make, model, and year of vehicle. As well, it's a great place to check a VIN for outstanding recalls and such, and issues in general. So I'll share that link down below. Make sure you check that link and copy that into your browser page. Now we're cruising the lot, and there's lots of nice new BMWs to look at here. As you can see, you look all the way around, lots of great BMWs all the way around. You've got X models, you've got 3 Series, 5 Series, you've got all kinds of different M cars, lots to choose from. So it comes down to what is your favorite. You got to break that down first. What is your favorite car? Are you looking for a sporty car? Are you looking for a family car? Or are you looking for an SUV? Those are all things you have to ask yourself first and foremost. We talked about breaking down what you're looking for. Let's start over here. So this here is an M5. Obviously, we know that an M5 is not the epitome of reliability. Even though this car now has been out for a couple of years, I would expect to start hearing a lot of problems, but I haven't. In this latest F90 generation, this car seems to be quite bulletproof so far. So far so good. I haven't heard a lot of bad things on the forums, nor have I heard them, anywhere else, in other general publications. So you want to make sure you do your research. This car's been out a couple years now, so it's becoming a safer bet as time goes on. And then we have the 530 over here. This is the turbocharged 4-cylinder. Now this engine is actually proving to be quite reliable. To be honest, the only time these 4-cylinder turbo engines are becoming a problem is where people start modifying them. So generally, as a rule, these cars are actually fairly reliable. Now, there's additional electronics in here. Every year, BMW seems to add more to their arsenal of tools. So that's always a possibility. But generally, as a powertrain, that 4-cylinder turbo engine, as you find in the 530 or the 330s or 230s and so on, are very reliable so far. Here we have the X3 M40i, and you guys have all seen my review on that. quite reliable so far. That's got the B58 engine, so it's got the newer motor that replaced the N55 engine that was slightly problematic. So far, this engine seems to be quite good, and that's actually the same engine that they use in this car. And if you look around here, this is the M40i X3. That is the same engine that they're using in the new Supra Turbo. So far, I would expect great things from that engine, and I would expect great things from, the B58 in general. So far, we haven't heard a lot on issues. I've scoured the forums, talked to people, and so far this motor seems to be quite robust. There have been some issues where that engine was mated up to a manual gearbox that have been a problem, but the engine alone, on its own and connected to an auto, has been actually quite good. So that's a fairly safe bet so far. And then over here we have an M4. Absolutely stunning machine, for sure, no doubt. Beautiful car, M4. Wow, I love that. But so far they're finding to be fairly reliable. These cars are quite reliable so far, except some of them now, there's what they're finding is this problem called a crank hub. And apparently there's some hardware on there that backs off and becomes a problem, and they can fail catastrophically. Now, that's not happening in large numbers, but that is something that's been noted on that newer generation S55. So the M3 and M4 motors have had that as a possible issue of failure. So generally quite reliable, but there have been some problems to consider. Now, if you look over here, we have a couple of 240s. There's a 240 in black and a blue one as well. So that's the B58 engine, so quite reliable so far as I can tell. There's a 340, same engine, the B58 engine. So again, I hold good things so far for it. And now we have a 230 over here. So we mentioned about that 30 series as found in that 5 series as well that I showed back a few minutes back. That's that turbocharged 4-cylinder. Seems to be quite reliable so far. So if anything that you're buying has, the 30 series in it, that's probably a safe bet. That's the small 4-cylinder, the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. And they have been quite reliable, generally as a rule as well. Nice rig. Another 440 here. And now we have an M5 again. Of course, X330i. So that's a good safe engine in there. So here we have an X5. You'll notice it's an X35i. So that isn't necessarily one of their more reliable versions. That has the N55 engine in it and was notorious for a lot of problems, although not as bad as the N54 before it. This isn't one of the better versions of that car, unfortunately. That engine had a little bit of troubles behind it. So there seems to be a common theme here, everybody. And I just want to help out with you on this. When you're buying a new BMW, if you want reliability, and that's really your sole objective, is to get a nice reliable BMW, nice German car to drive around in, the M cars generally, as a rule, are going to be a little more high strung, and you're going to compromise some of that reliability for performance. Now, if it's an SUV you're looking for, it doesn't really matter on the, it's an X3 or an X4 or an X5. Really, they're all going to increase on its complexity levels as you go up. Of course, the line, of course, the X5 being one of the more complex, and the X6 as well. The deal with those, of course, is primarily the engine and the drivetrain. And so far, again, I would steer away from the M versions. And so far, the 40 series is where you probably want to be for reliability. That B58 engine so far, again, don't blame me in 10 years from now, but so far seems to be very robust. And I think they've learned a lot of things from the N54 and N55 engines and made those improvements accordingly. So, generally, I would say if you're looking for an X model, either go with the X, the 30 series or the 40 series if you're looking for a little more pep. And for the cars, whether you look for a 5 series or a 3 or a 2 series, if you want reliability, the plan there is stick with the 30 series. I would say is your best blend between performance and reliability. So yeah, you'll notice I've toggled, the SUVs, I've mentioned the 40 series, and the cars I've mentioned the 30 series, primarily because the SUVs with the heavier chassis, the all-wheel drive systems, you generally want a little more power behind it. But it's the 30 series, the turbocharged 4-cylinder engines that are inherently going to be your safest bet and most reliable cars that you're going to find in the new BMW lineups today. So everybody, I really hope you enjoyed that video. I just want to make sure that you drop some comments below. I want to know if you have any opinions on those models I gave examples of, or if you have any other tricks or tips on things that you can do to avoid buying an unreliable BMW. Just make sure you drop that line below as well. Make sure you give it a like, thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little notification bell so you catch the next great video. Thanks again, everybody. Love to see you in the next one. Mark here checking out with Exotic Car Play Plus. See you soon. Bye-bye.